sudden terror draws in police reports, victim interviews, contents notes, newspaper clippings. What follows is my conversation with him.
It's very much a tentpole of football, the Santiago Bernabeu.
So you put together your book to you know some of my favorite players. Was that?
Here at the comedy position, and I'm joined as always by Lee Dixon. And we're focusing on, technically speaking, one of the best leagues in the world. I'm talking, of course, about La Liga. It's Real Madrid, and they take on Osasuna. Yeah, thanks, Derek. All that work in the week, all that chat in the dressing room, all that stops now. Put your game face on. Get down to it.
Case file 7917426 that occurred on 6/11/79.
You talk about the book so well, sort of coming in and that you found him. And I just wondered, like, what that feeling is like.
It's hard to believe this, but when I walked into the house, I had a feeling. The hair on the back of my neck, I just feel like we were standing up. It was just the fear that was in the victims, and listening to what they said, it just had a feeling that this was a madman. It wasn't anything that he had dealt with before.
4 across the midfield. Really important for the fullbacks to link up with the wide midfielders in this system.
He always wore a mask. Always wore gloves. Talked through clenched teeth. Set the houses up prior to the victims arriving. Unlocked doors and windows. Open gates.
Okay. This is our backyard. This was a window right here. It's on the far side of the house. I came out here and walked down here and then went this way to the front of the street.
Get in there!
This is the
What start?
If there was a man in the house, he would throw his shoelaces on the bed and tell the woman to tie him up. He would rummage, and then he would come back with dishes. He would put dishes on the man's lap and tell him, if I hear these dishes rattle, I'm going to kill your wife. And that was what he was putting into their minds, that they were going to die. And that's what he did over and over and over.
2278. 23. The attack happened on May 14th, 1977. So this was my first birthday after the attack. This is that's the room it was in. There's my kitchen. Boy, I have not looked at these pictures in a long time.
My job was to catch him, and I didn't do that. And I can't let it go.
Were normally the victims so relieved that
Oh,
they were
come
alive?
on!
And yeah.
Never a
I
foul!
wondered, I tried to put myself in that situation, you know, and to go into someone's home, spraying with them mentally too.
Who's played at such a high level in an attacking sense for so long. What do you anticipate seeing from him here, Lee? A real opening now. Cross played over. No one can latch onto the ball. Real Madrid
Pure crossing time.
You know, I think the story of the victims in has to be told.
Reminded me of you finishing like that. It's just terrible.
I remember Michelle ultimately wanted to serve helping to get this guy caught.
On the plate!
The hopeful, optimistic humans putting puzzles together, trying to get closure, trying to make sense of violence and despair.
I mean, what drives me is the need to put a face on a unknown killer. And what I love is this intersection of sort of technology and crime solving, in that people can get sort of wheeled out of their house for something they did in 1957 because of the internet, because of DNA. I really get off on that. That is so amazing to me, and I want to be a part of that. Nothing, it's, you know, everyone has their cause, and this just feels like what I was born to do. I love digging for clues. I love putting things together. I love the puzzling part of it. I love being wrong because sometimes it proves that you didn't know enough and you learn new techniques. I love every single aspect of it.
What led you to starting this blog?
Well, I always followed crime stories, and I was always a writer. So I started it on a lark, really.
I started reading Michelle's blog, True Crime Diary, basically on recommendation. And I was obsessed with it. Like, she couldn't post enough. Her stories and the way she told them made them so memorable. You know, they all stuck with you.
Whatever light existed was blotted out. The sound of hurried footsteps faded away.
It had that feeling of like under the blanket with a flashlight at night.
I was kind of amazed at how quickly it caught on.
When people talk to me about finding that blog, there's a real excitement where people are like, I've read every single post. It was like they were drug addicts or something.
I would say about a year in, I started to realize I wasn't really in an echo chamber, that people were kind of starting to read it and respond to it.
Most of the TV shows that would cover these stories were very cold,
Oh,
really
come on.
exploitative. We spent a bunch of time watching a reenactment of a beautiful young actress being attacked over and over while wearing lingerie. But Michelle's blog kind of changed, I think, the focus. She personalized those people.
If you can remind people about the humanity at the other end of that gun. This was a person with hopes and dreams, with family, that could have done this, or this. That's what
Too
Michelle's
hard.
All right, here we go, folks. We've got Michelle McNamara. She's a writer and a web sleuth. She has taught college writing, worked as an editor, sold TV pilots, and also consulted for Dateline. She is a truth seeker, is what she is. Let's face it, you have a career, you have a life, because people are always going to get murdered.
Wow.
You deal in the devil.
The murder business.
She was a pioneer. She was somebody who was creating, something new.
Yeah, nothing was like that in 2007.
Hi, Los Angeles. Pat Oswalt from Jones's Jukebox. That was ceremony by new order. I am sitting here with the lovely and intelligent Michelle McNamara, my wife, who is the writer and creator of TrueCrimeDiary.com. I think this is one of the best written and creepiest crime blogs.
Oh, come on, was I in? Oh, gee.
If this site was awful, I would have to buy all the
so
time.
close.
Michelle, you were telling me about something going on in the Northwest right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have a theory that there's a serial killer operating in the Northwest who is killing couples.
Oh,
There's been about 4 or 5 cases where there seems to be no motive and they are both shot in the head.
I remember the Jenner case so clearly. That was such a turning point for her because she became very fascinated with how crimes are investigated.
It's not easy to get to this beach. You have to negotiate a tricky path down a rocky cliff. On Wednesday, August 18th, a sheriff's helicopter noticed 2 sleeping bags on Fishhead Beach. Despite the noise and nearness of the helicopter, the figures
that
in
was
the
so
sleeping
close.
bags didn't move.
Right on the
Wednesday,
line.
Jason had each been shot in the head at close range with a .45 caliber Marlin rifle.
That is a creepy beach.
Footage, it's a very creepy beach.
The act of actually going to the crime scene and walking the case made her go, oh, yeah, I can't just be talking on the internet. I have to go visit places and look at places. It changed the way she wrote about it.
When did you make the shift, Michelle, from just reading stuff and absorbing it to thinking, I can do something here. I can start trying to connect dots that I might see that others have missed.
There was this kind of national news about a kidnapping that took place in Missouri. This boy had been kidnapped from a bus stop. And it really reminded me of a lesser-known case that had happened 5 years before that no one else was talking about. But there were things that were interesting to me. So I posted that I think whoever took this boy, Ben Ownby, probably also took this kid, Sean Hornbeck. And I posted it on a Wednesday. That Friday, the police in St. Louis went to investigate a tip about where Ben Ownby might be. And
come on!
Opened the door.
Oh, what a mess.
Years earlier,
Right.
What
And
a
again,
mess.
this was 3 days after I had posted. I think they're probably taken by the same person. That was a big moment for me. I could start to see where my head full of facts and details could intersect with technology. You know, I had started...
Oh, nice!
The internet.
What a lovely finish that is.
That they seemed similar and that they might be connected.
It's got to be amazing when you find a new sort of clue when people
Such a
just
class.
like porn addiction or something. No, this is really weird. It can't tell myself.
Oh, look at that for a minute. That is lovely.
All those things happen, and so it's a genuine addiction. Yeah. You are on board. Yeah. Are you doing this now? Oh, every night. It's like some morning.
I cannot
Lovely
remember
goal.
the specific time we started talking.
What a
You know, because every day there was so many cases she was following up, and then just organically that became the thing that got narrowed down.
I looked at Michelle's blog, truecrimediary.com, and I was really intrigued. So she and I first met in 2011 to talk about some story ideas, and she was so smart and so cool and down to earth, and her shit was together. Not only that, I really liked how she was unpretentious in obviously a pretty pretentious city and business. I remember she wore these like clogs. She had a backpack like a that she bought at Target. And she just showed up totally like a
Oh, yes! Stick it in there!
So we meet up and we go to this cafe. I think we met there.
Lovely header.
And then probably didn't leave.
Great move.
About 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because she started telling me this story about this guy.
The case that is sort of the biggest case that I'm most obsessed with is, the short version is basically he's the worst serial offender in modern history that no one really knows about. He raped over 50 women
ZZ Scuff, right?
He killed 10 people. And he's never been caught.
Well, on they go again.
There's no one like him out there. There hasn't been before. He is such a unique offender.
This guy was one of the most prolific, violent, brutal serial rapists, and eventually a murderer. And I had never heard of him. Like you'd heard Zodiac Killer, you heard Son of Sam, like you hear of all of these big, especially in the 70s and 80s, which seemed to be the most fertile period for these serial killer stories. And I had never heard of him.
He would eat in the people's kitchens. He would hide ligatures under cushions so that when he was attacking, you suddenly would watch this man take a ligature under your cushion and you didn't even know he had been in your house.
I'm drinking this like Arnold Palmer that's like 36,000 ounces, and I'm like sipping on it and drinking it. As she's telling me this story, I needed to go to the bathroom really badly because my bladder was like about to burst. But I couldn't. And I just kept listening, and that's how I knew it was a great story. You know, the challenge for any magazine editor, any reporter and writer is, sure, you have like a person or you have a topic, really interesting guy from a long time ago, but there was nothing new to say yet.
What's fascinating to me about this case is it is rich with so many clues, and it really seems to me that it's just time, energy, and curiosity, and that and frankly it should be solved. I mean, it just should.
Gripped by Compton's book, I googled East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker.
What was that?
And this came up, this link to the cold case files message board. And I was just, you know, for someone like me, again, it's like, oh wow, look at all these, oh wow. Like, wait, who would spend, you know, all this time
Well, me, I guess, because it's a week later and I've read 20,000 posts.
And the perfect position to read it.
You know, certainly in this case, there was this community of people. They all had different reasons for being involved in it. Some of them, you know, from Sacramento and remembered and were still fearful and wanted to see it close. Others were more kind of just data mining, sleuth kind of people.
Very good reading of the game to win possession back.
You know, this was unique to me because I've never actually been part of this sort of message board community before. They throw around clues, you know, you go down the rabbit hole gleefully, like, oh, there's just this unending thread of information.
Bloody waste.
EAR-ONS is an acronym for the East Area Rapist / Original Night Stalker. It's an awkward name, befitting a man who crossed jurisdictions and flummoxed law enforcement for decades. What kind of man was he?
I've been aware of Michelle for probably a few years, as I was a fan of her True Crime Diary. I've read True Crime Diary in its entirety. So when she finally wrote about the East Area Rapist, it was exciting.
I'm obsessed. It's not healthy. I know the strangest details about him. I know his blood type. I know his penis size. He vaulted fences, he escaped foot chases, but I believe it's the rare moments when he was human that will be his downfall in the end.
Her writing evoked the central hook for me, which was the mystery, the question of who is behind this crime. She wasn't a ghoulish hound. There was nothing tasteless about her writing. It struck just the right tone.
An impressive community of people has come together at an A&E-sponsored website. Unlike other unsolved mystery communities, the EAR-ONS community's desire for justice feels strong and sincere.
She reached out to me privately, and we started corresponding, and it was evident she was, like, entrenched in this case, as was I.
I saw her seem to be someone that, like,
oh, yes!
And I just began kind of personal messaging.
Yeah, we started exchanging notes, and developed a rapport pretty quickly. Yeah, we just built mutual trust until we were just openly sharing how we work with each other. And that's when we discovered a lot of had intersected.
We kind of started just exchanging ideas and theories and things like that, and we just kind of forged a friendship, kind of, a strange friendship over this strange 30-year-old case.
Hi. My name is Michelle. I'm a longtime worker on the EAR-ONS board. The case is of interest to me, and you seem really measured and thoughtful in your responses. I wanted to know if you have any thoughts on something. I spent an afternoon doing some research, and I feel like I've stumbled upon a compelling suspect. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for trusting me with this information. I'm a Sacramento native and have been investigating this case for years. Let's talk. I traveled to Sacramento to meet a woman about whom I know very little, including the spelling of her last name. The social worker operates as a kind of gatekeeper between investigators and the board community. This irks some posters who accuse her of hinting at confidential information, but then shutting down when asked to share. She greeted me in the parking lot by waving her arms wildly overhead. I liked her right away.
Well, we had been in communication when she was flying into Sacramento, and she was another civilian that was interested in the movement. And we would drive around to the crime scenes. I would take her to the areas. And so we drove around for hours. We're going to go about 5 miles from here. And I'm going to take you to the first crime scenes first. Okay. Our language just immediately became, about the case facts and about what we knew and what this and what do you think of that. It was a language that nobody else quite could have understood what we were talking about unless you had that experience or you were aware of the case. I just don't think it's going to be somebody that everybody thought, oh, that's the East Area Rapist.
I mean, I think it's right because he wasn't caught. I mean,
yeah,
obviously
it's going to be somebody that they go, really?
Right. Obviously, he didn't stand out at the time.
There's something about two women getting together that have a common cause and a common goal, and we're crusaders, we're warriors, we're on the